For the first time in nearly 5 years, we have more unemployed people than we have vacant job positions. Meaning that if we snap our fingers and filled up all the empty positions in the country today, we would still have a whole bunch of people without a job. I'm talking about filling up every Burger King, McDonald's, Wendy's, all of it. Fill it all up. All the Walmarts, Targets, everything. We would still have over 1 million people unemployed. And that's the way the economy is currently set up. It is set up for millions of people to be unemployed. That's the goal here. And here's another startling statistic. Month over month, we've just been losing more and more jobs. So you probably recalled the BLS commissioner being fired recently, the Bureau of Labor Statistics. She was fired because the job report that came out was horrible. And the Trump administration took it personal. They're like, hey, you're rigging the numbers. You're rigging the numbers against me. You're out. Pack your bags. Get out of here. And the very next month, after she was fired, the numbers were worse. Is that not ironic? How are the numbers worse? I thought she was the one that was rigging it against you. But as it turns out, the jobs are leaving. Not just that, not just struggling to find a job, but the layoffs are increasing. We've seen a lot of layoffs in both the public sector and the private sector. Private sector, you can look at tech and finance, and they're just shedding jobs. A lot of it can be blamed on AI. A lot of it can be blamed on outsourcing. But if you look over at the public sector, over 300,000 federal workers are out of a job this year in the federal workforce. Not just that, not just the hiring freeze either, but when the federal government scales back on spending, it impacts more than the federal worker. It impacts more than that agency because you also have to look at state, county, city. All of these smaller levels of government, they receive some type of federal funding. Usually it's around 20 or 30%, but it can be a lot more. That federal funding is either jeopardized, it's cut, or it's completely removed. So it impacts county jobs, city jobs, state jobs, all of the jobs, and not just government. Look at contracting, which oftentimes supports the government. A lot of people don't know this, but there's actually more government contractors in the private sector than civil servants, federal employees. There's more contractors. Defense contracting especially is being impacted. So then the question is, will it get better? Well, recent polling shows 60% of Americans, 60% of consumers say it will not get better, it will get worse next year. 61% of Americans think there will be a recession in the upcoming year. Why do they think this? Well, three main signals. You got low job growth, you have high interest rates, and you have inflation. That's a dangerous mix. You mix those three components up, it doesn't look good for anybody. Now, let's look at the jobs in the country. 85% of the jobs are in the private sector. 15% of the jobs are in the public sector. Really, when you're looking at the federal government, it makes up less than 2%. State government, county government, if you pool all those together, it's much larger. So that leads us to the question is, can the government do anything about this? Couldn't the Trump administration do anything about this? There's three main things that people always say that you can do. Infrastructure projects. You got a rundown bridge. You got a pothole-filled road in your town. We could create jobs by fixing the infrastructure. The second thing that you could do is have a reward for small business to hire more. So maybe it's a tax break, maybe it's something else. You could do something like that. And then you have to look at retraining. The workforce isn't skilled in the areas that we need, so let's retrain them. But all of that costs money. It costs taxpayer money. Now, the Trump administration has been making efforts in those three fronts. Now, you can argue whether it's enough or it's not enough, but all of it takes money. People don't want to raise taxes. We're actually lowering taxes. But we can't find enough money to fund the Department of War $1 trillion. We have enough money for that so we can continue to give our international friends weapons and missiles and things like that. We can continue to develop billion-dollar fighter jets for the next conflict that, who knows when it's coming. It's probably going to be a cyber attack war / drone war, but we're still spending a lot of money on special interests within the Department of War. But if you're a job seeker, you are familiar with the pain that's involved in the process of looking for your next job. You're ghosted, right? You apply multiple times. never hear back. You go on multiple interviews. No one's giving you any kind of constructive criticism on how to fix yourself, how to fix your resume, what caused you to blow the interview. They're not giving you that information because it opens up those companies for lawsuits. Same thing with federal agencies. It opens them up for lawsuits, so they're zipping their lip. Not only do they make themselves more legally vulnerable, but they're expending their time. So if they tell everybody, hey, you need to fix your resume. Hey, we didn't like the color shirt that you wore when you came into the interview. Hey, you were telling some weird jokes. We don't like the way you laugh. Why were you laughing? You were hiccuping the whole interview. Whatever the case is, that's time consuming. And a lot of HRs are already stretched pretty thin. So you're not getting that feedback. And it takes a lot of repetitions to hear anything. Hiring is a subjective process. And it's because of that, so many individuals get frustrated and they leave. I think there's like 7 or 8 million people that just gave up. They threw their hands in the air and like, hey, this is going to be it for me. I tried. I put forth a decent effort. I was out there for a couple of years. Nobody's interested. I don't know what to do. So what do? The number one thing is you focus on what you can control. You don't control human resources. You don't control hiring managers' personalities, their subconscious biases. You don't control any of that. You just control what you do. And what are you doing? Are you putting in the reps? Because you put in the reps. Average numbers right now are saying that it takes about 35, 36 applications to get one interview. Now that's average. Maybe you've put in over 100 and you're not getting anything. Same thing with interviews. It takes so many interviews, I think it's 4 or 5 interviews to generate or to, on average, receive one job offer, meaning that you have to apply over 100 times. So are you putting in the reps? Oftentimes, it comes down to what am I doing aside from putting in the reps? How am I making myself a more desirable candidate? And, really, who do you know? Who knows you? Relationship building, networking is huge. That's how individuals are able to get high-paying jobs. There's a lot of introverts out there. There's a lot of people that don't want to play the game. They don't want to jump on the hamster wheel, and they're willing to take a step back and say, I'm not going to succumb to that. I'm not going to do that. But if you're not going to play that game, you need to manage your expectations. And what I'm talking about here is lowering those expectations. And I know it sounds terrible to hear that, especially if you got 20 years in, 25 years in, you're an accomplished professional, you got military time, a couple of master's degrees. But I'm talking about lowering those expectations when it comes to hearing back. Because not everybody's going to be responsive. Not everybody's going to jump at the opportunity to grab you. So you got to lower those expectations down. Now, if you're looking in the federal government, it could take a whole lot longer. Right now, there's a federal hiring freeze that goes out until October 15th, meaning October 16th, the freeze is lifted. They'll probably start hiring again. But the hiring process, the goal this year is 80 days. That is if everything works in your favor. If the stars align, and everything opens up in your favor, 80 days. If not, a whole lot longer. Now, that's better than last year. Last year, the average was about 100 days. But if you're eyeing one of those law enforcement positions, like if you want to be a Border Patrol agent or if you want to be an ICE special agent or FBI, CIA, it's a lot longer than that. It's over a year once you get the academy requirement and everything else out of the way. It's a long pathway. But they have some pretty big bonuses for some of those jobs. We're talking about, 5-figure bonuses, 20, 25, up to $50,000 in some situations. But the main thing that's going to hold you back or anybody else interested is going to be your health. How is your health? Are you maintaining it? Do you have any issues? Do you have a bum knee? Are you a little overweight? You got a few extra pounds on there. That might not work in your favor. So regardless of what direction you want to take it, if you're not getting the results after putting the reps in, you either need to get out of that town, look in a different city. Every city has their own little small economy and what generates money in that area, so you might have to relocate. Or you just got to build relationships. You got to put yourself out there in these professional organizations to have more people know you and associate you with something positive when it comes to productivity or whatever. You got to do what you got to do in order to get the money. AI is not helping at all. Right? There's a couple of different camps when it comes to AIs. There's some people that believe it's not going to be that big of a deal. There's a lot of people that are in the trades, that are plumbing, that are electricians, that are HVAC, and they're like, hey, AI is never coming. AI will get there. A humanoid robot that's programmed to understand when to turn the wrench, when to do the pipe fitting. Doesn't matter what the task is. We're witnessing humanoid robots can do pretty much whatever the programming, whatever the company wants it to do, to the point where it's going to be self-learning and they're going to be able to have a conversation with the client. It's just not a human's, award-winning personality that's going to seal the deal. You're going to see door-to-door humanoid robot, solicitators. People trying to get you to buy solar panels or try to get new windows on your house. They might even come around, telling you to vote for a political candidate. Now, I don't think that's happening next year. I don't think it's going to happen in the next 2 or 3 years. But if you extend the time horizon to 5 to 10 years, I almost certainly see some version of reality of that playing out. So you got to be ready for that. Now, in addition to all of this, you could be asking yourself, well, what about certificates? Maybe certificates can actually put me over the finish line, and that's what's going to get me hired. I'm going to have so many certificates, I'm going to blow the competition out of the water. And if you want to know my exact view on certificates and if a certificate will lock down a high-paying job, then I want you to watch this video next. Stay updated by signing up to the free newsletter down below. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.